Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Aslan Speaks. Well, today I was, doing my research because that's one thing I do all the time, guys. Is I spend maybe sometimes it's an hour a day, sometimes it's a half hour, or sometimes it's hours upon hours. Almost every day or 4 or 5 times a week, I do research or I educate myself. You don't grow and evolve if you don't sit there and educate yourself. If your soul speaks to you and tells you, hey, I'm curious about that, or I'm curious about that, follow that hunch, follow that your inner knowing, or that your gut feeling that says, hey, I'm curious about this. And if you get a constant gut feeling about to study or research a certain topic, I suggest you do that. But yeah, guys, I research all the time. But today I was called, basically, like my intuition was calling me to hop on here and do a short video about fear. So I want to talk about fear today. And I'm going to briefly touch upon the subject. But if you want to dive deeper, in my book, Hidden Knowledge, Path to the Divine on Amazon, I have a chapter that's titled Love and Fear. So fear controls you. And my goal is to tell you guys not let your fear control you. Don't let your fear hold you back in life. The biggest tool that has been basically used against humanity is fear. You see fear everywhere. If you don't do this, this will happen. Or that box in your living room, and you flipping through the channels, and it's fear, fear, and fear. We're fearful of our relationships. I like this person, but I'm so fearful because if I reach out to them and say that I like them, that they're going to reject me. I'm I'm too, like, some of us have jobs and we are so unhappy at those jobs, but we fear that, hey, if I quit this job, I will not find another job, or I will not find a job making this type of money. Or maybe we're in a relationship, for years, and we know we don't want to be with them, but you're fearful of being alone, or not having another person to help support you. So you stay because you're of that fear. Don't let fear control your life. One of the things I've learned over the years is to be fearless. Instead of being fearful, be fearless. And that's hard. How do you deal with fear? Everybody's fearful. What is courage? Courage is being fearful, but yet moving forward. Courage is being brave, even though you want to run away. That's all courage is. It's just fearful people facing that fear. I just watched a really cool interview and the person I was following seemed very wise and insightful. And he said, basically, well, the longest road in life is the road from your mind to your heart. We all have roads in our life. Paths. I have a video on here that talks about finding your path, but we all have paths and life decisions and we hop from path to path or whatever, trying to find what works best for us. But the biggest journey in life, guys, all you guys out there who's following me, the biggest journey in life, or the biggest path or road you have to face in life, is to find the path from your mind to your heart. When you're in your mind, you allow that fear, those anxious thoughts, that doubt, that self-sabotaging thoughts to control and dictate your life. But when you travel from your mind to your heart space, to that inner peace, to that love, and just trust that loving nature in you, those loving thoughts, it'll guide your life, and your life will get so much easier. Because what conquers fear? Love. That's what I talk about in my book, guys. We have two primary emotions that dictate everything we do in this world, that affect our thoughts, actions, and deeds in this world. And those two primary emotions are love and fear. And then there's different emotions that stem from fear. There's hate, there's bitterness, there's depression, there's tons of things that stem like a tree branch, stem off of fear. There's doubt, and there's tons that stem off of love, that primary emotion of love. And that primary emotion of love is compassion, humbleness, many things. And you can also look at as love and fear are, love is the positive charged energy, and fear is that negative charged energy. Fear is that negative thinking. Love is that positive thinking, positive feeling. Like I state through all my stuff, guys, what you think, feel, you become. So your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions create your life. And when you think those thoughts, feel those emotions, and do those actions, what are the primary emotions behind those actions or thoughts? Or what is the primary emotion behind it? You can only either goes if you weed out everything, it stems down to fear or love. You could, you got that person that you really like and you want to ask them out on a date. Well, do you choose to be that primary thought of being fearful? Oh, I want to reach out to them, but I fear that they're going to reject me, or I fear that they're going to say something to me that's going to hurt my heart or hurt my emotions. Or you could go from, hey, you know what? I'm going to stay in my peace and my love, and I'm going to reach out to them in a loving manner, and a positive thinking and positive thoughts, and ask them out, or tell them my truth. Maybe it's a former person in your life, former friend or lover or family member that you want to reach out to, but you're so fearful. But if you come from a loving place, love conquers all. So even if you get rejected, or maybe they even say harsh things, at least then now your soul is at ease. Now you know that they don't want to are attracted to you or look at you like that. And then you can move on to finding a person that does love you or want to be with you. So many, I see this all the time throughout people I interact with in this world, where they're like, hey, I like this person, and they spend weeks after weeks or months after months or even years pursuing somebody and liking them, but they don't really tell them that, hey, or ask them out or get to the bottom line. They just do that dance around things because of their fear and their doubt. And they waste so much time and energy, so much mental power, overthinking, overanalyzing, being in that fear, that self-doubt, that eventually all that time, it hurts them even more because they spent, weeks or months or years trying to pursue somebody, only to find out that they were never interested or never really wanted to be with them or didn't really like them. And then they get crushed, emotionally, and hurt really badly because they spent all that energy. Where if they chose to face their fear right off the bat, and just speak their truth from their heart and say, hey, I like you, I want to be with you, or whatever the case scenario is in any situation, they find out right away. And then you don't spend weeks, months, or years wasting your energy or time. Or you find out instead of, you could have, some people are so fearful, and like this happened to me years ago when I was in college. There was this girl that I liked in college, and she was in my art class, and me and her would always lock eyes, and we just were always drawn to each other, and I knew I liked her. Something in my soul said there was something about this person, but I was so fearful, and I didn't say nothing. I was like, what if she rejects me? I had all those thoughts in my mind, my own insecurities, my own fears. And guess what, guys? I waited so long that she ended up going with somebody else. Because I didn't speak my truth. I wasn't brave. I wasn't being courageous. And then years later, I found out she had the same feelings for me. And if I would have just spoke my truth in that class and spoke up and acted upon my inner knowing, my feeling, I might have been with her or dated her or whatever the case may be. And that's just, you can't allow your fear to dictate your life. And how do you, a lot of people have those doubts and those fears. What is fear? Fear is you worrying about an outcome that hasn't happened yet. Fear is you worrying, stressing, or having anxiety about an outcome that hasn't happened yet. So basically, it's a fictitious thought in your mind, a creation that you made up in your mind, thinking this is going to happen like this, and I'm fearful of that. And so you're playing that in your mind. Well, your thoughts create. And when your thoughts create, so sometimes the very thing that you dwell on for weeks, months, or years about and being fearful of, sorry about that, guys. You manifest that into your reality in some shape or form because you think about it so much that you are actually looking for it out in the outer world. So how do you overcome fear? Because I believe if humanity could learn to overcome fear, their own weight in life, because that's what fear is. It's just a weight around you. It's a visible weight that's that ball and chain around your ankle that just drags you down in life. A lot of people want to climb Mount Everest or go do certain cool things, but they're like, I don't know if I could do that, or they allow that fear to keep them from doing that. Or they fear, I could go to this awesome trip. I want to go to Europe, or I want to go do this, but I fear that I only have $1,000 in my bank account, and it costs exactly that amount to go do that life experience. But yet then that fear and that doubt comes in mind. But if I spend that, I'm going to be broke, and I don't know what I'm going to do after I go on that trip. And so they don't live their dream. They don't experience that awesome trip that they've been wanting to go for, dreaming about for years, because their fear of when they spend that money for that trip, they're going to be in lack and not have anything. And you see how fear holds you back. So a person doesn't go on that trip. So then they spend, how many people I've come across who stay in the same town, same city, same state, same country for 40, 50, 60 years, and they don't go nowhere because of their fear of lack. Live your dream, conquer your fear. That's one of the things that I've learned to deal with, because I was, we all have moments of fear and doubt in our lives. But are you going to be courageous? Are you going to be brave? And bravery and courageousness comes when you face that fear. When you say to yourself, not today, that whatever thought or fear that you're thinking, and you say to that fear, not today. Like when I was watching that video today about the dude was, you could tell he was very wise. He talked about David and Goliath. We all know the biblical story, how David slew Goliath. Goliath was a giant. David was a tiny little, person compared to Goliath. And everybody feared Goliath. But how did David conquer Goliath? You can look at Goliath as that fear in someone's life, or those troubling moments in one's life. And David conquered Goliath through faith, being brave, being courageous. You don't think David, way back then in the Bible, was fearful? Knowing that if one slip up, Goliath would have tore him apart? Yeah, I'm sure back then, if you would have put yourself in David's shoes, he was scared. But he overcame his fear with faith. He overcame and defeated Goliath because he trusted. He went from his ego mind, from his mind, and he traveled to his heart. And when you follow your heart, there's a power there. And if you're not spiritual, you may not know what this feeling's like. But when you become spiritual or awakened, you could feel that power within your heart space. And that's where I come from. I come from my heart. I speak from my heart. And there's when you tap into that loving energy, or that peaceful energy, that powerful, positively charged energy, even though you're fearful, even though you're doubtful, you just stay in your power and you just radiate outwards. And then when you tap into your heart space, that loving energy, that positive energy, you are actually tapping into the divine, that the creative energy. For God so loved the world that he, you guys all know that verse. For God so loved the world. Well, that's how it goes. So God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son. God so loved. The key is love. You follow Jesus, he talks about love. It's very powerful when you learn these hidden truths, guys. When you incorporate love and you use love to override fear. You face your fear, because a lot of that fear is you being your worst enemy. And I have a video I just did the other day talking about your worst enemy is you. Check that out if that resonates with you. So face your fear. Yeah, we all have those moments where no, I can't bring myself to do that. Guys, one of my fears is public speaking. Believe it or not. I get anxiety and anxiousness when I know I have to speak to a whole bunch of people. And in the last couple of years, I've reached thousands of people. I have videos with, I was suppressed by, I can't go into it, but I've had 3,000 views on one particular video, or 4,000. I've even had 20,000 views. You think I'm fearful? Even I'm fearful when I speak and do my little videos to you guys, of that, if my message won't resonate or I won't reach people. But I face that fear, because I'm like, even if, I always tell myself, even if I just reach one person, I've done my job for the day. So one of the ways to overcome fear is to be brave. Take that shot. What I've learned is when I would make that fear way worse in my own mind and imagination than what reality really was. Because we sit there in our heads and we have those sleepless nights and we replay that tape over and over and over in our head, and then we keep adding on to it more fearful and doubtful thoughts. And then that problem, or whatever you view, or your perspective is a problem in your life, maybe it's this big, and because you sit and dwell on it for so long, it becomes this big. But how do you overcome that? You face it. You take a step back and you take that deep breath in. And you're like, today, I'm not going to let my fear hold me back. And then when you start tackling your fears in life little by little, you start becoming more braver. You become more confident, because some people are so fearful, so lost in their minds, that they allow that fear and doubt to dictate their lives, and they don't know how to be brave. So they choose to run. They choose to run. They run from every life's difficulty in their life. Maybe it's a relationship that's really going good for them, but that fear and doubt's so overpowering in their life that they run. I've been guilty of it, guys. I've ran from things because I did not want to face them. But as you learn to awaken and become a better you, a more powerful you, when you tap into your divine self, tap into your heart space, you learn to start taking a chisel little by little and knocking away that fear and doubt. To the point where that fear and doubt, like for me, guys, I've over the years of self-mastery, inner work, inner reflection, spiritual living, and mastering my mind, thoughts, and emotions, fear doesn't faze me as much as it used to. Those doubts don't faze me as much as they used to, because I'd rather be brave. I'd rather be David, and I'd rather conquer Goliath, conquer that fear. And every time I've done that, every time I faced my fear, things always turned out pretty good for me. Now, we all have life moments where, yeah, your fear is justified. That even though, that fear is justified as in, like, let's say, you know that your partner's cheating on you, and your fear, or he or she is not right for you, and you know that there's something off, but you're fearful to confront them, because you know if you do, you have to react and find out the truth, and then that fear is you knowing the truth, which is that this person wasn't right for you. That's tough. We all have that. Sometimes our fear is justified, because sometimes people look at fear as negative in nature and bad for you, but also it can be good for you, because fear is what kept us alive as cavemen or cave women. Hey, if I go out in this wilderness, I might not come back, so I got to learn how to build fire and develop resources like fishing and making tools for survival. That fear is a survival mechanism. So it's okay to listen to your fear. But at the same time, don't let it control your life. And how do you know? You step into your power, your soul, your inner knowing, your intuition tells you when, because there's times where you have to run away for there's times where you have to run, because your soul or your inner knowing tells you, hey, if you face this, you might be destroyed, whatever situation that may be in. So it's a survival mechanism. But at the same time, don't let it control you, because sometimes you run away when you should run forward. Sometimes I like it when my soul speaks. Sometimes when you want to run away, you should run forward. A lot of people, reason why they're not successful, the reason why their dreams never come true, reason why they're not in that dream relationship, because they allow their fear and doubts, that overthinking, to make them run away from it. They didn't pursue it. They didn't put the hard work and energy into it. So they were in lack. Maybe they ended up with crappy relationships, or they never fulfilled their dreams. I was there, guys. When I wrote my first book when I was 18 years old, I was so fearful. I'm like, and I would make up excuses. What if somebody doesn't like it? What if it's not good enough? What if my writing or my vocabulary is not good enough? And then that book sat on the shelf for over 10 years. And it's still sitting down collecting dust, but now I look at it as, hey, I'm going to complete that book and get it out there. But right now I got a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. But with my other books, I had those thoughts, I had that fear, I had that doubt, and I said, you know what? No, I'm going to put them out there in the world. Maybe they're not perfect. I don't care. I'm not going to let fear dictate my life. So don't let fear, guys, dictate your life. The longest road in your life, it's not outside on the external. It's the internal. Coming from your mind, your ego, to your heart. When you learn to live from the heart, where meaning your thoughts, actions, and deeds come from the heart, then you're that much closer to figuring out the truth to this reality, or reaching enlightenment. What is enlightenment? More like it's enlightening the self. You know, we have 7 chakras, all light, and they're all with colors. Basically, you wake all those 7 chakras up with the light energy or love, and you light them all up, and you reach enlightenment. There's so much more to it than that, but I was trying to make this a short video, and obviously my soul is got lots to say, you know. And I share this, guys. You can't let your fear dictate your life, because some of fear sometimes causes those post PTSD in your mind, or it causes those mental breakdowns in your mind. Maybe you did something so bad or so long ago that you're shameful and guilty, and you just are so fearful and so shameful that it literally, at an energetic level, you put so much thought and energy into it that you're beating a hole in your auric field. You're taking away your power. And all you have to do is a simple flip of the mind. Instead of dwelling on that fear or whatever emotion that is that's causing you strife in your life, you flip it. And you just come from love. Love conquers all things. And if you learn to do that, and it's baby steps at first, because running towards your fear, those fearful moments in your life is difficult. Especially if you're the one who has to open the door, because we're fearful, and we were like, maybe I'll sit back and wait for someone else to open that door. Well, you won't get nowhere in life. Conquer your fear. Be brave. Be courageous. The coolest thing is when you start being fearless, when you start being courageous, when you start being brave, others see that. They see the light that you are, and then you help them. You know, like, hey, I see that person being courageous. I'm going to be courageous. And you could help others. This world is a difficult one, guys. It's not easy. But it becomes easier once you learn how to play the game, so to speak, in life. Learn the primary thoughts. Analyze yourself when you're sitting down and you have that thought. Even if it's about a job or a career, or if it's about a potential lover or a former lover, or if it's about a new direction you're going to go in your life, maybe you're going to move, or if it's about you reaching out to somebody, maybe it's somebody you haven't talked to in a long time, or maybe it's somebody new, or maybe it's about going on a trip. Sit down and analyze the primary emotion behind those thoughts. Where am I coming from? Where is this emotion coming from? Is it coming from fear? Or is it coming from love? So if you want more on this topic, I explain a little bit more understandable in my book. In my book, I'm getting tongue-tied here. Hidden Knowledge, Path to the Divine. The chapter is called Love and Fear. And I go more in detail, and I explain it a lot more clearly, and you can get more clarity if you read that chapter. So I'm going to ask you guys this before I go. What do you choose? How do you choose to live your life? Do you choose to be fearless, meaning loving, living a life in loving thoughts, positive thoughts? Or do you choose to be fearful? Meaning, I choose to live in lack. I choose to live in limitations for myself. I choose to place invisible chains on my feet that hold me back in life. God bless you guys. I hope this was helpful. Like, share, and subscribe.